Hi everyone, welcome back. I hope y'all are doing great. I am doing okay. Today we're going to be making this center stepper card. I showed some cards I had made in my Facebook group on a project share. I'll link that video if you haven't seen it and you want to. It'll probably pop up in the iCard at some point throughout this process. This process is probably going to take about 30 to 40 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I did make this card for my rack for February 2021, but I did not like the video that accompanied the project, so we're going to be doing the video. We're going to do another card with another video, so this card did not get mailed out on the 22nd because today is the 23rd, although you'll be seeing this video on the 28th because I show the videos the last day of the month, just so I can keep all of the other stuff that I have going on craft-wise in line. So really quickly, this is some Echo Park paper and this Lori Whitlock. These butterflies are from the Dollar Tree, and everything else is from Echo Park Lori Whitlock. This is how it looks on the inside. We're going to be using this template, and you can't really see the name, but I will put the information in the description box so you can go over and print yours out if you like to follow along with me. So I'm just going to use some craft paper to start off. The things that I will be using to make my head hurt a little bit less is a ruler and a pencil and an eraser to erase the lines on the card. So first you need to start off with your card base, which is going to be 5.5 by 11. So I'm just taking a 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and I'm going to cut off the extra inches from the 8.5 side. So I'm just going to line up with the 5.5. I'm just going to cut off the excess. Just want to make sure my paper is lined up, because you know what happens when you have crooked paper. Projects come out crooked. Now what I'm about to say is I recommend that you review the template, and if I don't know if this person has a video to accompany this particular card making session, I would recommend watching the video just so you can see. It is in what Americans use, and then everyone else imperial and metric system. So I'm using inches, just so you know. So right here it says the paper this is going to be the 1/2 inch, and so right here it says 3.5. I'm not sure if it's coming from the top to the bottom, but what I'm going to do is just make it, I'm going to do an imaginary line and make it 1/2 inch. So first of all, I'm just going to come in 1 inch over here from each side. I'm going to draw a line. Okay, so if you want to, you can use your craft mat if you trust it. I trust mine a little bit. These are inches in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it and line it up on a line, and I'm just going to come here. I'm going to lightly pencil in 1 inch. All those pencils that you got from the Dollar Tree finally get a chance to pay off, right? Now, if you're secure with cutting and things right here, this white line says fold. So you're just going to have these folds, and then the black line says cut. I don't trust myself that well when it comes to fancy fold cards, even though this is a pretty easy one. Once you review the information, I still prefer just to go ahead and draw on my paper and then just erase it. With the craft cardstock, it's not that bad. And you're going to take paper and cover it up anyway, so you really don't have to be too concerned about your pencil markers unless you make them really, really thick or wide. Now, in the middle, I'm going to do 5.5. Just in this section only, from this line to this line. And you can't really see it, but trust me, it's there. Right now it's time to get out your scoreboard, and what you want to do is score at the 1 inch side. Just your 1 inch line that you created. Now, if you trust yourself enough not to draw a line, then just keep in mind that you only need to make a 1 inch by 1 inch line, and then you're going to make a 2 inch by 1 inch line. So just go up 1 inch further right there, and then on the same thing, just rotate the paper and do the same thing for the other side. So if you have your 11-inch side on the right hand side right here, you would be doing this. Now, I know I'm probably making it sound way more complicated than it really is, but basically what you're going to do is take your bottom sheets, your bottom portion, and go 1 inch up. So 1 inch, and then 1 inch from here is another inch. So you can go 1 inch or 2 inches, 1 inch or 2 inches, or 1 inch, 1 inch, whichever one makes more sense and a little bit easier for you to maneuver. So next we're going to put at the 5.5 mark, we're going to put a score as well, and then you're going to go from 5.5, 1 inch up to 6.5, and you're only going to score it from your pencil marking of 1 inch to the edge of the paper. And then I don't like to try and get my line from one side to the next. I just like to turn the paper over and just figure the math out. I know I said figure out the math, but it's easier. Trust me, for me, it's a lot easier to do it this way than try to draw a line and then the lines be all off. So if you have 5.5 inches right here, you're going to go 4.5 right here to get that inch mark from the line. So basically you have 1 score, 2 score, 3, 4 score lines, okay? And you can see it here. 1 whole score line, 2, 3, 4. But when you do it individually, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I know it makes it a little bit harder that I'm putting all these numbers in, but it's a straightforward card once you get your score marks in. And we're going to do all of this one more time because I cut out 2 sheets of paper just so we can see. Okay, and this one, I didn't draw any lines on it. So if you wanted to, you would have to come here and do 1 inch and guesstimate. You know, you can try. You know, some people are really good at these line making things. You can come over here and do that and be like, oh, I'm at the 1 inch. I don't like to do all that. I just prefer to put my lines on it because it's just simpler. But this time when I do it, I'm just not going to talk as much with all the numbers, okay? So I'm just going to say a little bit about it. So I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to put 1 line on the 1 inch side of my 5.5 by 11 sheet of paper. And it's a light line. And then the same thing over here, I'm just going to put 1 inch. And for me, rotating the paper just makes more sense. Maybe because, you know, I'm a lefty. In the crafting world, it's not really a left-handed dominant community. Everything that is sold is either right-handed or uni-hand, right? Ambidextrous-handed. Mostly right-handed though. All right, so we got our markings. And now what we're going to do is come in here and we're going to score it. And we're going to score our 1 inch, and then we're going to go from 1 inch up to 2 inches. And while I'm over here on my scoreboard, I'm just going to take my pencil and I'm going to lightly, still not trusting myself with this, I'm going to lightly come in here and just pencil in that mark. It just makes it a lot easier for me to do. And then I'm going to come right here and I'm going to score. And I'm going to go 1 inch up from my score line to 6.5 and score on this side. So I have all my scores on the one side. I'm going to rotate it. And now I'm going to come from the 5.5 still back up to the 4.5. So I have my score here. And now I'm going to go to the 11-inch edge. And I'm going to go 1 up, which is 10. And 1 again, which would be 9. And we have our scores. Now, for those people that have X-Acto knives and you're really good with it, you can slice and dice your paper with it. You can pull out your X-Acto knife and just get your ruler and cut from your 6.5 inch all the way down to your 1 inch. But I just prefer to use my paper trimmer. It makes it a lot easier and less stressing. So 6.5 to 1 inch. And we already have that because we have wrote all over our paper, right? Well, I did. I'm not sure if you wrote on your paper or not, but that's fine. Whatever is going to be easiest for you. And I'm just going to go to my 10-inch score. I'm going to go all the way up to my 4.5 on this side, and see we have our first score. And now I'm going to come on this side for my 1 inch, so to speak. And since we already have our lines, we can be a little bit more precise about where we're cutting, which makes it easy. I think I cut against the grain on that paper. You saw how it sounded, and I went over just too much, but that's okay. We're going to do the same thing for this one. If you want to, you can go ahead and do, this is the hard part, in my opinion, getting your creases and folds and everything done properly. So go ahead and knock that out. If you plan on making a lot of these, I would definitely recommend getting all the folding and creasing, all the legwork done. You can go to decorating and make it pretty. I'm just going to use a Prismacolor eraser, and I'm just going to erase all of those lines. And so this is the part that, you probably are like, I can just figure out my lines without doing all that. And if you can, good, great. It makes it a lot easier than writing and erasing, but not everyone is there. So this is what we shall do. Write on our paper and then erase it. And I like the craft paper is easily my favorite cardstock to use, because you can score it and it doesn't really tear. Most of the craft paper I ever used does not have a white core. It has always been brown through and through. Now, some craft card is not equal to the other craft card that I've purchased, so just keep that in mind as well. I think some people that sell craft card may skimp on some of the material that's used to make the paper, but for the most part, I have not had a lot of issues. I have had some like softer craft card before. So now what we're going to do is we're going to fold this piece, this first crease that we created, down. And if you do good creases, which I apparently did not do pretty good on my creases, if you do good creases, your paper will go ahead and start to bend at your will. It will melt where you need to melt at, fold over. So I'm just going to go back and crease these lines really, really well, because we want our card to crease good. Now, if you haven't decided on what paper pad or what paper you're going to decorate, now would be a good time to start thinking about that. I do have something in mind, so I'm going to see if that works. So I have a few stickers, because I think stickers work the easiest with these projects, and also stamped images that can be cut out that are dimensional. Now, the problem with this is, since I am going to be mailing out these cards, I have, well, I'm going to mail out one card and keep the other ones, I suppose, and then put those in my drawer of cards, or mail them out in other mail. You want your card to be fairly flat, unless you don't mind spending $6 to mail out a basic card, which I don't have a problem with mailing out a card that costs more than what it costs to make, but it's annoying. It's really annoying, in my opinion, to mail out a card for $2 or $3 when you've only used, a few dollars worth of stuff. So here you go. That is the basis. Now I'm going to get my paper and come back and show you how I decorate. So we're going to be using this Poolrific paper pad from Recollections Michaels, and it's from 2017 or 18. So they do not have this in stock anymore. I have been to Michaels recently, but not like recent enough to have dug through their paper pads to see what they have. And I'm not quite sure what they have going on right now at Michael's. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this bottom portion, which is really pretty and cool in my opinion, and we're going to turn our paper over, and we're going to create a template or template. And I'm going to try to use this. All right, so I want just this like a big T shape, and that's all I'm going for, because I want to keep these ice creams or popsicles on the bottom as my trim for the bottom portion of this. And then we're going to just cut out a 1 inch and put those on the side. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. If you would like to see me cut all the paper up, each individually thing, I guess I can go ahead and do that in this video, so no one's like, you didn't show us how you did that. So I'm just going to cut this out in a T and come right back. So I'm going to use this paper because it's a little bit more busier than this solid, stark, one solid sheet of paper right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut off an inch of 1 inch and 1 inch to put those on the side, and it should come out really, really nicely. It's going to be 1 inch by 4.5. So I'm just going to cut off 1 inch on both sides. Well, for both sides, 1 inch for both sides, and then I'm just going to trim it down. Now, normally I would have just trimmed off all this paper to be 4.5, but I may be able to use this as a card base or card front, so I don't want to do that. And now I'm just going to put it to the 4.5 inch side, and remember to chop that piece off as well. I'm just going to scoot it up just a little, not even a whole measurement to give you a measurement, just to scoot up a little bit, because the bottom portion is going to be hidden by the fold anyway, so no big deal. All right, so now here's the fun part. You have your two sides and you have your card front, excuse me. So I'm just going to open this back up, and I'm going to put these on here. Now I do think I want to ink them up. I'll ink them in blue. Okay, so I'm considering these two cutter parts, Hello Summer and Sunny State of Mind, although I pulled out a lot of things to say spring on it. I don't know what's going on in my head sometimes, but you know, we're just gonna work through it. Now, even though this cardstock is pretty heavy duty, I do recommend you deciding what glue, wet glue or adhesive, you're going to use before you start fiddling around with it, because it could definitely help you with your design. So if you're going to use a wetter glue, you know, you can, like I'm using Aleene's Tacky Glue, because that's my new favorite glue right now for not a lot of warpage and not a lot of, it doesn't dry fast, but it dries quick, if that makes sense. I don't know if it says quick dry, fast dry. Like with the art glitter glue, you know, it dries really fast. Like you blink your eye half a second and the paper is adhered. Even though it still takes time to cure, it is basically adhered down. Whereas with the art glitter, Aleene's Tacky Glue, you can put glue on, and if you don't have it in good placement, you can move it. Now I don't want to say I recommend. I do like the Collal glue that you can. It's kind of like, it reminds me of 3-in-1 glue or Fabric Tack, but those glues cost a lot of money, especially the Collal. I don't even think they have them in the States. You have to order it from overseas. I tried to buy from Amazon and they gave me other glues to buy. They probably have the same properties in there. That's probably why. So if you are, you know, wanting to get some glue that you can really mess around with, I would say try that out. But it's not as inexpensive as art glitter glue. As art glitter glue, as well as Aleene's. You know, you can get Aleene's from the Dollar Tree, or you can get a bigger container from Michael's for $3. Whenever I buy the other glue that I'm talking about, I always use a coupon. So right here, I went a little bit scissor happy. So it's a little bit off, but you know, that's okay, because I have paper to cover that up, things to cover it up. Now it says Sunny State of Mind, poolside, all this fun stuff that, you know, if you're going through a harsh winter, you're probably like, I can't wait until it's hot. Now, the one thing that I will say is that I love the cold weather. I love it a lot better than the hot weather, because, you know, with cold weather, For the most part, I'm not saying if you're in freezing temperatures and you've been stranded in the middle of nowhere for a week or so. I'm talking about in normal cold weather conditions. You can always get warmer. You know, you can put on more clothes. You can turn your air conditioner, your heater up. If you have a fireplace, you can turn your fireplace on. It's things you can do basically to stay warm in normal conditions. I'm not talking about any abnormal conditions. But in the heat, sometimes it's just like it's hot and you cannot get cool. So I do like the cold weather for that. I'm going to go ahead and be brave and just trim this. Because if I would have ran this through my paper trimmer, it would have been like, are you serious? What are you doing? So I'm just going to cut this off right here. All right. And so that is basically our card. Now we just need to finish decorating it. Now I did say this in a previous video, and I'll say it again. I do not really care for the center step. I want to have one solid piece on this side and then step, step, step. So you'll probably see that soon. So we got a sunny state of mind, and let's see. So I'm using some Dear Lizzy Ephemera. This right here says you're a whole lot of lovely, and then this little umbrella. But I want to put something right here, so I'm going to take this little ephemera piece and I'm going to just fussy cut these shades out. I think I'm going to cut out these yellow shades really quickly. Or I could have put those ice creams on there. I was looking for a sticker. Yep, looking for a sticker, right? Because the stickers that I brought to the table are not doing it for me. So I'm going to put those shades just like that. I think we're going to have to do a little bit of shifting because that looks too weird. Now we could just leave it like that. Let me fiddle around with it for a little bit and I'll come back. So I decided to use something different. I think I'm going to use this sticker, one of these little Valentine stickers. Now I haven't been out. This video has been made on the 22nd or 3rd of the month. And I think it's the 23rd. And you know, most of you probably know that Texas, most of the country had some type of winter thing going on, except for Florida, right? I saw that was looking at the news on the internet, and it was like a little headline that says something crazy. It was like, while the rest of the country is freezing, people flock to the beach in Florida. And I was like, that's great. Not great in a bad way, great like, yeah, that's where you should be, because it was cold. It was cold. I have been in below freezing weather before because I've lived in places that actually get snow. Connecticut, Maryland, Virginia. And I know San Antonio has had a cold snap before I moved here. But a cold snap, not a freezing snap like it was. So what we're going to try to do is get this here, just like that. And I'm just trying to figure out how I want to do that. I think what we'll do is do a little bit of manipulation with this glue. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So some people love cold weather. I enjoy it. I don't enjoy the freezing portion of it. My uncle likes cold weather. He was like, this is some good hunting weather. I'm like, man, it's freezing outside. You know, stay your butt at home. But he was working. And you can't tell grown folks nothing anyway, right? You tell an adult to go left, they're going to be like, I'm going right. You tell them to go right, they're going to be like, I'm going left. So I want to pop this up. The choices we make. I want to pop this up because I think it looks better popped up. But if I decide to put this in the mail, they're going to be like, we can't run it. So let's just make it flat. Pop-up life no longer exists. With the rack, I want to talk about this. With the rack cards, I am not here to increase anyone's craft supplies, right? With this particular project that I have going on right now, it is just to brighten up someone's day and have them get a random card out of the blue, saying, hey, you're thought of. And I wanted you to know that. So that is all. I am not trying to go to the store and buy a lot of stuff and or go through my stash and dig out a whole lot of things to send to anyone. I am just trying to put a small smile on their face, and hopefully they can pay it forward to another person, and that person can pay it forward, and so on and so forth. That is the goal, okay? So if I sound like I'm being cheap, I'm not, in regards to mailing out the card. I'll put this little pretty flower right there. Let's see. Yeah, that looks cute. I like it. So this is the completed project. I do plan on making a few more videos with cards, and I'll probably do a step-by-step again, just because, you know, sometimes the person that watches the video, that's the first video that they see, and this paper is bent, but that's okay. It'll be flat, hopefully, in the mail. So I hope you have a sunny state of mind, because you're a whole lot of lovely. So thank you all for watching. Until next time, happy crafting.